So this is the reverse band piston. So there's the cover on the outside. Drop the bolt. And the piston is housed inside, gasket and piston. If I just push it from the inside. Release that, don't drop it, I'll release that piston. And there's yet another lip seal on there. That'll be an important one to find. Again, like the others though, still very compliant. It's not, it hasn't gone hard and horrible. Inside looks really good. There's no noticeable scoring in there. So I think that's almost reusable, but I will try and find this lip seal now that it's out. A couple of springs. Springs nowhere near as big on the reverse as the forward gears. So that should be a fairly simple one to fix. So one of the last pieces here, this is the oil pump. I've already undone the bolts on the back. I've tapped it loose. And just so you can get a look inside. There it is. Ooh. A gear set in there and a plate. And this plate, there's an O-ring too. There's an O-ring on the side here that has to be replaced. That's a consumable part. It's fairly easily available. And this was covered in oil, so I assume that was actually probably leaking or just weeping. And this plate is what the, you know, where the wear can come in. But this actually looks, to me, this looks pretty good. There's a touch of scoring there, but it's more just the pattern of where the gears move. I can't see, there's no lip, so it's not worn. This too looks pretty good. I don't know what the spec is. I'll have to try and find it. Obviously there's some movement in between the two, and over time as it wears, that's where it would wear out. But the gears they actually look pretty. See if I can see any wear on the teeth. It actually looks pretty good. I can't see any significant wear. Depends how perhaps it is a bit worn. Depends how pointy the ends have got over time, I think. Just how much has been rubbed off and ground out. They might be pointed, they might have been rounder once, perhaps. Pop that back in there. So that's what picks up off the fluid drive. It helps to drive that pump. So that's a look inside the pump. That's all pretty clean. Now there's a trick in keeping it clean, and I've got to replace also that seal has to come out, and I'll do that in good time when the new one arrives, and I'll get that out of there. Okay. So I'll try and disassemble this with the camera going, which might be interesting, one-handed. Is that going to work? I might need both hands, I think. Oh, where are we going? So you can see that planetary gear set in there. Planet gear, sun gear down below here, sun gear in the middle, sun gear. And the ring gear sits out on the edge here somewhere. And that's what the brake band operates on the ring gear, locks this one up. Or the clutch pack operates on the planet gears and locks that up, and that's the way you get the different ratios. The clutch pack is just visible inside here. There's the steels of the clutch pack. And I'm just contemplating whether we're going to disassemble that and look at the frictions. The clutches are in a pack here between steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch. Just whether we want to disassemble that. I'll stew on that for a minute. Okay, so I just wanted to come back and show this. This is the output shaft with that bearing I had trouble with just come off. I've already disassembled this, but just to show the sequence. This is the output. You can see the planetary gears there. Sun gears in the middle. So that's the rear. There's the ring gear. for gears 3 and 4, I think it is, or certainly clutch band D3. And then, I don't know if I got this one-handed. Out comes the ring gear. Put that to one side. There's an O-ring, no, I've already taken that off, but there's an O-ring there that holds the intermediate shaft on. Take the O-ring out. There's a shim associated with that O-ring, so I'll just put those together. Then the clutch pack can lift. The clutch pack can lift off. So that's the clutch pack. And you can see then there's the thrust washer, whether it's copper or bronze, I'm not sure. See there's piston rings in here, just like in the cylinders. Put a focus. Piston rings here. It gives you the oil seal, very, very tight tolerances. So this is the central carrier. So if we lift that up, you can see the number, part number is facing down towards clutch pack with band B1. Set that to one side, and that should leave. Final clutch pack to come off. So there's a clutch pack inside there. You can just see the bronze coloured clutch packs. That's what the friction packs, the friction clutches are. And that leaves the intermediate shaft, or the hollow shaft, as sometimes described as well. And it's got a thrust bearing here. Again, copper or bronze. All of the teeth, just examining them on the way out, they all look pretty good. The only place I've seen a sign of wear was on this shaft here. Can you just see those black lines here and here? That's where the friction packs are actually resting on those gears. Now it hasn't really notched it, but it's certainly made a colouring on it. It's notched the back actually, but perhaps that's supposed to be that way. It's certainly notched on the back side of those teeth. You can see that hopefully in that picture. Okay. So this is the back of the K2 band, clutch pack. If I said K3 before I was wrong, this is K2. There are 3 small staked countersunk holes here, and the opening for the band, when you pluck it out, I don't know. Importantly, well, I assume it's important, the opening for the O-ring, lock ring. The opening for the lock ring is separate from the opening from the locking plate, so it's in here. So I'll just grab that out now. So the first of the friction materials, again, the grooves are very prominent, and there's no broken scoring parts. Both sides look the same, very even. The steel underneath it, there's no burnt pieces. The only thing I did note was on the very first steel that came out, there is some burn marks on that. I don't know how big a deal that is, but they're definitely burn marks, but the steel that actually faces it is pretty clean. You won't be able to probably see in the light, but there's still the hone marks are still quite visible. But yeah, there's definitely something burnt on there. Like I say, I don't know if that's a problem or not. I'll put those in there. I just wanted to see the orientation of the steels as they come out. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth, and then it's clear 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth. And then over this side, 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth. These are quite tricky to get out single-handed, so I'll come back. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but that friction material, that there's blue lettering there, right there in the middle. I'm trying to hold the light so you can see it, but that's blue lettering is probably factory stamped. So at least we know that it hasn't worn right the way through the friction material, that is for sure. I think this actually is in pretty reasonable condition. I suspect this can go back as is. On the last steel to come out, I don't think the light, I think you can see that there's some burn marks here where it's heat treated the steel. That's the last plate to come out. I think the last of the thin plates anyway. So the other side of that isn't bad, so it hasn't heated sort of all the way through, and I assume that's still usable. Again, I might have to seek a bit of advice, but that looks pretty good to me.